What would you do if the woman you swore to cherish, the one who lay beside you every night, was texting another man at 2 a.m., her phone screen a traitorous beacon in the dark? I never thought I would be the man asking that question, let alone living the answer. The night everything broke was a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary evening that disguises extraordinary betrayals. Her phone, which she'd claimed was broken all day, glowed under the covers, illuminating a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of dread as I watched her fingers dance across the screen. A secret world unfolding inches from my unsuspecting face. The air in our bedroom, usually thick with the comfort of shared history, suddenly felt thin, poisoned. I pretended to be asleep, my breath shallow, but inside, a storm was brewing, a silent, destructive force that would soon consume everything. What she didn't know was that the glow of her screen had just ignited a fire in me, one that would burn her world to ashes. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The humiliation hit me first, a physical blow that left me gasping for air in the quiet darkness. My wife Sarah, the woman I'd built a life with in our cozy Brooklyn brownstone, was a cheat. The realization was a bitter pill, dissolving slowly, painfully in my gut. For weeks, I'd dismissed the subtle shifts. The late nights at her book club, the sudden obsession with her appearance, the way her eyes would dart away when I asked about her day. Was a fool, a loyal husband blinded by a love she clearly didn't reciprocate. Her behavior grew stranger, more brazen. She'd leave her phone face down, always, even when she went to the bathroom. Receipts for expensive dinners at places like Per Se, which we hadn't visited, started appearing in her purse. Once, I overheard a hushed phone call, her voice a syrupy whisper. Mentioning a weekend getaway to Miami, my blood ran cold. The man on the other end, I imagined, was smug, confident, enjoying the spoils of my broken marriage. Sarah, meanwhile, transformed into a stranger. She became cold, distant, her words laced with a subtle manipulation that chipped away at my self-worth. "You're being paranoid, Mark," she'd say, her eyes hard when I dared to question her. "Maybe you're just insecure." She made me feel like the villain, the one destroying our marriage with my baseless accusations. She felt untouchable, protected by her lies, her affair partner, and my perceived weakness. I was breaking emotionally, silently. The man who had once been confident and happy was now a hollow shell, haunted by suspicion and pain. I'd spend hours staring at the East River from our apartment window, the city lights blurring into a painful kaleidoscope of my shattered dreams. But beneath the despair, a cold resolve began to harden. I wasn't going to be the cuckolded husband who just rolled over, started gathering proof meticulously, patiently. I installed discreet software on her laptop, tracked her car's GPS, and hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank, who operated out of a dingy office on Canal Street. Frank's reports were damning. Sarah and a man named Richard Thorne, a senior partner at her law firm, meeting at the St. Regis Hotel on East 55th Street, their clandestine rendezvous captured in grainy photographs. The receipts, the hushed calls, the late nights, it all clicked into place, forming a tapestry of deceit. My revenge wasn't going to be a dramatic confrontation, but a slow, calculated dismantling of her life. I consulted with a top divorce attorney, Evelyn Reed, whose office overlooked Central Park. We built a case, not just for divorce, but for public exposure and financial ruin. I documented every lie, every stolen moment, every penny she'd spent on her affair. I set legal traps, ensuring she'd lose everything in the divorce, and social traps, carefully leaking information to key figures in her professional and social circles. The public exposure was brutal. The divorce papers, detailing her infidelity with Richard Thorne, were filed and, through a carefully orchestrated leak, found their way to a prominent legal blog. The story spread like wildfire through the New York legal community. Her reputation, once pristine, was shredded. Clients pulled out, partners distanced themselves, and the whispers followed her everywhere. The firm, desperate to avoid scandal, quietly forced Richard Thorne's resignation. Sarah, arrogant and deceptive to the last, found herself utterly alone, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. The final blow came in the courtroom, a sterile, unforgiving space in downtown Manhattan. The judge, after reviewing the overwhelming evidence, awarded me the brownstone, the majority of our assets, and left Sarah with nothing but her tarnished name and a mountain of legal fees. She stood there, pale and defeated, her eyes hollow, a ghost of the woman who had once smiled at her phone at 2 a.m. I sometimes drive past the St. Regis. It's a grand hotel, a silent monument to her betrayal and my cold, calculated retribution. The city lights still blur, but now they reflect a different kind of emptiness. The end.